Hello everyone, it's Shanna Makes It, and I am here for Throwback Thursday for Kraftin Kimmie. I'm using the I Scream, You Scream stencil. I'm using the Charming Chartreuse and the Cool Cantaloupe Kraftin Kimmie inks, and I've got this panel that I had already stenciled with a few more colors on it. I did one card and I wasn't satisfied with it, so I'm doing another one, and I'm going to use just the scraps of the previous stencil that I have there along with what we're going to stencil today. So I'm just bringing in a rubber silicone mat here, and I'm going to lay down a white card base, and I'm going to make sure that I've got my stencil with my Kraftin Kimmie name in the lower left-hand corner, and that way I can put the second layer of it on correctly. So I'm just bringing in some green mint tape, and I'm going to get it taped down to my silicone mat here. I'm just using this silicone to keep my glass mat clean, and I've got some mini detail blending brushes, and I'm just going to use my Cool Cantaloupe, and we're going to do the bases of all of our ice cream, our sticks and our cones, our waffle cones, our sugar cones, all of that, and just add some orange color to it. I'm going to keep this stenciled panel just two-tone. We're just going to use the Cool Cantaloupe and the Charming Chartreuse colors, and then we're going to bring in the other smaller panel with some additional colors and just add some interest to our card. It's going to be a relatively simple card. This is a good card for beginners if you have a stencil, because we're going to keep it real simple. We're not going to do, like blending of multiple colors. We're going to do pretty much some basic square shapes for our cards, and so this is really simple, and this would be a good place for somebody that's just beginning to learn card making to start out, because stencils sure do a lot of the work for you. Now I was double checking to make sure that name was in the bottom corner because I was having a hard time lining up, and then once I saw it I was just off a little bit and just needed to move it over to line my ice cream up to my cones. I'm just using that green pixie tape again, and we're going to get our green chartreuse color laid down there, and we'll just blend it up real quickly. And stencils make for a fast and beautiful panel. It actually looks like you are quite talented, and it's actually quite simple for some of us that are less experienced with blending and coloring, and you can just get a great panel out of it, and you can really create your own pattern paper with it. So it's a great way to maximize your options, because you could use just all different kinds of colors with it. So I'm just going to get it all blended in, and then we'll get our stencil out of the way. And look, we've got a really nice panel. And I just love that orange and that green together. I think it looks really nice. It makes for a great panel. It would be great in and of itself, but we're going to use that other stenciled panel that I had previously created. Now I just grabbed some, I don't know, it's kind of a purpley blue cardstock for my stash, and I'm going to lay it down on there because there is some purple in that smaller stenciled panel that I'm going to bring in. There's some blue and some purple and some pink in there, and I'm just going to layer it. It's going to be my base layer. And then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of eyeball this and see how it looks, and then I'm going to cut this panel down, and this is what I mean by just some basic shapes. We're not using any dies or anything like that. We're just using our paper trimmer to cut it down. And for this one, I think I decided to go with 3 3/4 by 5, and that's a good layering size for your A2 size card. Your A2 size card is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and so if you take it down in 1/4 inches each way, you'll have a good evenly layered panel. And so I'm just going to use the 3 3/4 by 5. We'll have a nice little layer around there, and then I'm going to actually cut another A2 size panel down, and I think I cut this one by 2 1/2, and I'm thinking that I can use this as a layer for my stenciled panel there. So I'm going to measure. I should have measured the stencil panel first, but I didn't. It had a little bit of a rough edge on there, so I trimmed it off. And lo and behold, it's going to work fine. I'm just going to need to trim it down a little bit on the bottom. I think I make a couple slices with it to get the right frame around there. And then we will add this to our card. And you can see we're bringing in some additional colors to our card and just layering it up. I think the extra layer of purple kind of frames it out nicely. Now I'm going to bring in our stamp set, and I'm going to bring in the ice cream cone And I'm going to use the Summer Fun stamp and the sentiment from that. Now I've got the kind of the, I don't know, is that a quadruple decker ice cream cone there? And what I'm planning to do with this is I'm just going to use a white pigment ink and just make our stamp and our sentiment white on that same purple colored cardstock. And then we'll bring in some white embossing powder and we will emboss our stamp set. So super simple, just 2 stampings with that pigment ink and then bringing in some embossing powder and a heat tool, and it'll make for a very simple card. I've got just white, and I'm just going to bring in a scrap piece of copy paper, lay it on there, sprinkle my white on. I always stamp twice with my pigment ink, and I usually put my embossing powder on there twice. So I'll just kind of scoop up some that's left on there and shake it across my stamped image and tap it off. And then we'll put our embossing powder away and get our heat tool heated up, and we'll get this embossed. So this is a very beginner-friendly card, but I think it looks lovely when it's finished. I think the layering is what helps to keep it, to give it some interest, some dimension to it. So I've got my gun heated up, and we're just going to heat up our Fun in the Sun sentiment and our large ice cream cone. And then we've got our focal point for our card. However, I think the stencil panel really creates a great focal point. So we'll get it laid down on there nice with a nice frame all the way around it. And then I'm trying to decide, do I want to pop up the panel or the ice cream cone? And so I'm going to trim this down. And then we're going to lay this on our stenciled panel, and then we'll just pop up the whole layer there. Just kind of get it centered in there. We'll get some glue on there, and we'll get this laid down on our panel. And then I'm going to bring in some fun foam. I've just got a stash of some fun foam, and we will pop up this whole panel here and just add some dimension to it. So I'll just kind of cut around it, and we'll just layer the whole thing up, and we'll have some good dimension on there. And it'll just add a little extra interest, and we'll be able to let our stencil panel kind of shine through and keep this pretty simple. So there we have it. And I think it looks nice. So we'll get some glue laid down. This fun foam that I have just has sticky on one side. So I generally lay it on the card panel, and then I'll just add some glue on the back of it and then get it laid down on there. I want to get plenty of glue on there so it'll stick really well. And then I'm just going to offset it so that my stenciled panel will show a little bit on the one side. Now I'm going to grab some embellishments, and I've just got these kind of peachy pink, yellow, and green. And I'm going to grab my stick tool, and we'll just lay several of these itty bitty enamel dots down on here and just kind of add a little more fun color to that dark purple panel there. So we'll get 5 of these laid down, and that'll finish off our card. And I think it turned out super cute. Like I said, it's very beginner friendly. And I think the stencil just makes the card. And then, of course, the cute stamp. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye now.